Welcome back to Theme Park Wizard, and in today's video, we're gonna rank all rides, that's right, all rides at Universal Studios Hollywood from best to worst. This is updated for 2021, including the Secret Life of Pets Off Leash and the brand new or enhanced Jurassic World. So this ranking will be from rides that are my least favorite to my favorite. So starting off with my least favorite, Super Silly Funland. I think that's the name of this ride. That's what it's called on the app. It doesn't have like an official name. I just call it Dumbo Universal style because it basically is Dumbo Universal style. This ride does have some good views going for it though. At the very top, where most of the buckets are, you get a very good view of the valley, and it's fantastic. But that's pretty much it. Otherwise, it's a slow-ish spinner. I think Dumbo even goes faster than this. Dumbo is certainly more grand in nature. So, yeah, this is definitely my least favorite attraction at Universal. But it's great for the kids, especially those who are just finished getting off the water slide and stuff like that. But I feel like most people will put this at their last attraction. Coming in at number 10 is Despicable Me Minion Mayhem, and it really sucks because I actually really like this ride. I like that, I really like this franchise. I love the Minions, and I love Despicable Me, just like I love The Simpsons, but both these rides are much lower on my list than usual because I just don't like the ride systems, and specifically, and also with their queues, but The Simpsons queue is a little bit better, and I'll get to more of that when I get to the Simpsons section. But Despicable Me, as you can see, here's the queue. And this is what I call old Universal, where they just didn't really care too much on their queues and their ride systems. Now it's like much, much better. I feel like if a Despicable Me ride was made today, the queue would be much, like indoors, it would be much better than just the fake facade and the just TV screens. This again just looks like a Six Flags type of queue, and I know Universal, I mean we all know Universal can do so much better than that, and I'm glad that each new thing that they're building, they do much better than that. I mean, just take a look at the Mario Kart queue that we'll be getting next year. So I just hope that Minions will get a proper, or Despicable Me will get a proper dark ride in the future when Universal starts replacing attractions again. Because I mean, this franchise is one of the biggest franchises, at least for children, and it really deserves more than just a simulator. But it is still fun, I must admit. The pre-shows are also a little bit long, but the ride is still enjoyable when I'm on it, I must admit. It doesn't throw me around as much as The Simpsons or Transformers does. Moving on to Kung Fu Panda Adventure, and some people may be wondering why this ride is higher than at least Despicable Me. It's because it's the technology, and because this thing is absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. I mean, I loved when this opened in 2018, and how they redid the whole Main Street and the DreamWorks Theater. I mean, look at this. It's the way that Spanish Colonial Revival style, that in the kind of 1920s Hollywood or Burbank, Los Angeles. It's gorgeous. I mean, absolutely gorgeous, especially with that donkey meet and greet right there. It's absolutely gorgeous. So that has style points going for it too. Unfortunately, again, they're just reusing the old queues. They didn't really enclose it or do anything from Shrek 4D, but I think it's still pretty awesome. And in fact, that's one of the downsides of this. I love Kung Fu Panda. I love Jack Black. He's great. But I really miss Shrek. I was hoping, and hopefully a Shrek film will come whenever they start rotating films. I wonder when they'll do that. Maybe in the next couple of years, or like an off year or so. When something major is not opening, they'll just rotate a film. But hopefully Shrek comes back. But I really like the DreamWorks Theater because of the projection mapping. That really enhances the experience and puts it over Despicable Me for me, because it is so cool, the technology they used with this system, and the nice new motion on the seats and the interior of the theater both in the pre-show and the main show theater room. It again is just gorgeous. So this is when the Universal again was after party was really just putting out gorgeous, gorgeous things, and DreamWorks Theater is one of them. Moving on, we made it to the Simpsons ride, and I know I said I didn't like this ride system, and I don't, just like Despicable Me, but the Simpsons ride gets bonus points for me over the DreamWorks Theater because of again the surrounding area. I like how the little midway games and it kind of really looks like a little carnival in this area. So the front is themed perfect, or not perfectly, but it's themed very well in my opinion. Also, the I love how they themed later on the rest of the area to Springfield to make it look like you're really in like a Simpsons land, and I think like that just gives it bonus points in general. The ride system is a little bit more intense than Despicable Me, which makes sense because the property and the art, the targeted audience. But I think it's still a fun ride. It's kind of more jerky, but I love the Simpsons property again so much more than Despicable Me that I really like the IP. So I really like it. So it gives it more higher up on the list for me. So I'll be a little bit sad if it does leave it before 2028 because those theme park contracts expire. And so definitely want to ride the Simpsons ride as much as possible before then because, again, I don't know where else, what other theme park, certainly not Disneyland, will we see this IP come up again. Moving on to our first Wizarding World attraction. We have Flight of the Hippogriff, and some of you may be asking, why isn't this number 10? This thing's only 30 seconds long, and it's like, just terrible. Well, it's because, one, it's a coaster, and again, I like anything that's not a simulator, so that's why it's way up on the list for me. I loved how it's themed, has an animatronic, and I love the whole area it's in. And even though it's 30 seconds, it's a pretty fun coaster. I mean, I used Express on it today, and you get some nice pull in the back there. And I like how, again, it's themed, takes a nice picture. I love the setting it's in, and it just looks gorgeous to me. And it's a nice little 30-second thrill, and it's really good to go on, especially if there's like no wait, or if you have an express pass. So that's why, because it's not a simulator, it is way up here on the list for me. Moving on to the lower lot. And yes, Transformers, a ride that actually hurt my neck when I went on it a couple of weeks ago. Well, this ride is above Hippogriff because, again, it's a dark ride. It's not a simulator, and it is longer than Hippogriff, and it's just so many screens, but they do have some physical set pieces, very few of them, but I love the franchise a lot as well. And again, it's a longer ride, and it's just, I can't really go on this one after I eat because it gets a little nauseating there. But it's a good ride, and it's actually, I went on this with a family on the 4th of July, and these two children had not ever been on it. And it turns out, after they both came off, it was both of their favorite rides, and they've been on every other ride in the park. So before, Jurassic World was their favorite, but Transformers was their favorite. I'm like, wow, that's really awesome. They really like this ride a lot. And again, besides sometimes it can be a little thrashing and hurt, almost like the Matterhorn. Well, this and too many screens. It's a good franchise, and it's a longer ride. It's about like 4.5, 5 minutes. So it has that going for it. So Transformers, it's pretty decent. Definitely pretty decent. Moving on to the top 5, and yes, the Studio Tour was a hard one for me to place. I'm like, where should I put this? Didn't want to put it too high because I have my top 4 favorite rides coming up. But as I can't put it too low because, man, the Studio Tour is like iconic. It's world famous. And, of course, it's like an hour, 45 to 60 minutes long. So it's the longest ride in the park. And it's definitely worth it. I learn a lot. Almost every single time I go on the Studio Tour, I learn something new, which is great. And thanks to Dylan from Theme Park Obsession, I saw this. the daily shooting schedule, and it shows like what's being in production on the back lot, or front and back lots that day. I never noticed that until, again, Dylan from Theme Park Obsession said that in one of his videos, and that's super cool. So now I like the studio tour even more because I can look forward to what is being being shot that day. It's awesome that they also have electric trams. That this one in the video is currently not one of them, but they're being energy efficient, which is super cool. The Jimmy Fallon parts are kind of okay. He's not really the host because he shows up in like 2 parts, but it's really cool. And I go and they take us on new parts. It seems like each time, depending on what's closed for filming. Like the Little Europe part, I feel like I've never been on that part of the studio tour until a couple of weeks ago when I went on the studio tour with my cousins. I'm like, oh wow, I've never been on this part before, which is super awesome. And it can always be fluctuating. It can always change. And a side note, I do like the Terror Tram, although I do think I like the idea of the Terror Tram, but I do think the Terror Tram, each Halloween Horror Nights when it's offered, is one of the weakest, if not the weakest maze out there. But the studio tour is super iconic. Has to be, I feel like in everyone's top 5. And now move on to the good stuff. I mean, the rest of it was good too, but this is like super awesome stuff. These are my top 4. These kind of change rapidly. I mean, it was really hard to like make this, like decide my top 4, because I feel like Pets is too low. I really love the Secret Life of Pets, and I really feel like it is too low on my list. But I'm like, I like the other 3 rides, which I'm sure you Universal Studios Hollywood buffs can guess which those 3 are by now, but I love them so much that I couldn't put them under Pets. But that doesn't mean I don't like Pets. The Secret Life of Pets is such a gorgeous attraction. Again, look at the exterior facade work. Such a gorgeous attraction. If you're wondering also why I didn't film on the ride, which I could have, it was just such a long wait that I didn't really have time to wait on this particular day. But I just want to film this gorgeous facade. I remember doing construction updates for this. I'm like, wow. When they had unveiled the tarps, the gorgeous facade came out. That's why I can't wait for Super Nintendo World when they unveil the scaffolding there and see that beautiful theming, because I feel like it'll be just as gorgeous as Pets. Pets is exactly what Universal needed. A ride with very little screens. They do have like projection mapping screens, and it has like 64 animatronics in the line as a fully immersive queue. It's like the perfect attraction for everyone. Well, not really, because they put restraints on the vehicles. It really should be like Haunted Mansion style, where you just put a lap bar, but Universal likes to put restraints on these vehicles, and some people can't ride, unfortunately, because of that. But still, besides the restraints, it really is an A+ attraction, something you should definitely do if you've never been to Universal before. Moving on to number 3, we have The Mummy. Oh boy, Universal's second coaster, and more intense coaster. This coaster is Premier Rides, made by Premier Rides, and goes 45 miles per hour, completely in the dark. It has a great, powerful launch at the beginning, because it's a pretty short coaster. It has kind of a small space to work with, but it really makes up for that in that really intense launch at the beginning. And it goes over some bunny hills. Then it even has a backward section, so there's a lot of thrill in this coaster. It's a massive showboating, but it's small, kind of a small layout when you include the back of house stuff. So it really makes up for its lack of size in that intensity, and it's always a fan favorite. This was my cousin's favorite ride, both of them, when I took them here for their first time. It was one of their first times, but they went this 4 times in a row. They skipped Secret Life of Pets and other attractions just to get back on The Mummy. So they really liked this one. It really made an impression on them. I love it too. It is rumored to be going away potentially as early as 2024 for maybe a Diagon Alley expansion. So get your last rides, or no, get your few more rides for the Mummy in the next 2.5 years. Because it could be going away, but while it's here, definitely enjoy it here at Horror Nights, because it's such a great ride. And we're at number 2, which of course, This is Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, so you definitely know what number one is if you're a Universal Studios Hollywood buff by now. But yeah, this is a beautiful attraction. I mean, gosh, it's gorgeous from the inside. Now, this is what I would call almost like a near perfect attraction because the castle done right, the whole land basically was done right. But the queue is amazing. The greenhouse is really the only outdoor part. There's no TV screens in there. Well, they are, but they're embedded in pictures to make the moving pictures talk, which is awesome. The ride itself is a mix, like a perfect mix of screens and animatronics. I'll never forget, my stepmom came and to Universal for the first time since 2004. She came in August. We went in August 2019, and in 2004 she said, "Gosh, Universal was so bad." After she saw one, Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and two, got off this ride, Harry Potter and Forbidden Journey, where she felt like she was flying. She came off saying she'd consider, if she lived in California, she lives in a different state now, but she said she'd consider getting a Universal Studios Hollywood annual pass just to get on this ride again. So it's a massive, massive impact. Again, she went from hating the park to wanting to an annual pass just to get on the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which is really awesome. This was meant to be for a big attendance boost, and the Universal Hollywood got its big attendance boost based off this land, and I can't wait for that rumored Diagon Alley expansion to maybe go where the Mummy is, because I can use more Harry Potter. Universal really does Harry Potter very well, and this is just a great attraction. I can ride it any day, any week, and it just never gets tiring. Yes, number one, you all guessed it. It is that new Indominus Rex is incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. I could not put it at number one. I was debating, but after thinking about it, in fact, a couple of weeks ago when I was here, I got stuck, or the boat stopped. The chain lift stopped because there was a backup of boats. It stopped right under the final lift hill, right at the top of the final lift hill, and right before the drop, and I got to see the Indominus Rex do her full scene with the T-Rex, and she comes out and she sniffs you, and she tries to look for you, and then she tries to come eat you. And I was just admiring, we stuck there for maybe like 5 minutes. I was admiring how fluid that animatronic is. I mean, it's massive. It's humongous, like 21 feet tall. It's humongous, and it moves so fluidly. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I just had to put this ride at number one. Every time I see a boat come down, everyone's cheering and laughing. I feel like no one has a bad time on this ride. Some people may be a little bit scared, but I feel like they conquered it, and they definitely want to go on again. So this is my favorite ride at Universal Studios Hollywood. But let me know your list, your top 11 list down below. What's your favorite ride? What's your least favorite ride, and why? And let's see if our list is similar or very different. Let me know your list in the comments below. And if you like this video, subscribe for more of these cool videos, as well as theme park updates. And press that thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, have a fantastic day.